Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus revealed that there is a player out there that the 49ers could draft that would take this team to the next level, in his opinion. And this is a guy, in my opinion, that I've done, I guess, my homework on him, and he would be a good fit. Like, I am 100% open to the 49ers taking this guy with the 11th overall pick. But Wasserman is naming Texas offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. as the player who could take the 49ers to the next level. And what he said was, after winning just six games this season, the Niners may not seem like championship contenders, but they still have a ton of talent and finished this season ranked ninth in team PFF overall grade. One of their main issues in recent years has been the inability to fill out their offensive line with stars next to left tackle Trent Williams, which he is 100% right here. Then he goes on to say Texas left tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. could help them in multiple ways in the near and distant future. First, he is an excellent pass protector who trails only Patrick Paul and Joe Alt among FBS tackles and PFF pass blocking grade over the past 2 seasons. Banks is also an excellent fit in Kyle Shanahan's outside zone run scheme. In 2024, he earned an 82.4 PFF run blocking grade across a high volume of outside reps at Texas. Banks' talent and scheme fit is perfect for Shanahan's offense in the short term. He could be an immediate upgrade at right tackle and potentially replace Trent Williams on the left side whenever he decides to retire. Williams has 2 years left on his deal with the 49ers. Drafting, a replacement to his position could be a wise idea for the next year and beyond. And I am with Wasserman and what he's saying here because, number one, Colton McKivitz currently is the 49ers right tackle, and he's not good. Let's be honest here. He's just not the guy that the 49ers need as their right tackle for the future. And again, I mean, Kelvin Banks would come in and immediately be better than Colton McKivitz at right tackle, and then obviously could move then to left tackle whenever Trent Williams retires. But again, I mean, this is Kelvin Banks is a guy that is a significant upgrade over Colton McKivitz. And here's the biggest thing, and I've talked about this in some other draft videos that I've done. I personally would want the 49ers to take a defensive lineman here, whether it's an edge rusher, whether it's an interior defensive tackle. I would prefer them to take a defensive lineman at pick 11. I think you get the best bang for your buck, and I think there's more value going defensive line at pick 11 than there is going offensive line. But that is up for argument because there's guys out there like Kelvin Banks Jr. that could have an immediate impact on this offensive line and would probably be just as good as a pick as taking a guy like Shamar Stewart, Walter Nolan, Mike Green, Abdul Carter, Mikael Williams. I think Abdul Carter's out. I think this guy's a top 5 pick. He could potentially go number 1 to the Titans. I think Abdul Carter gets selected before the Niners pick. But again, there's other defensive linemen out there. Mason Graham from Michigan. I think the 49ers would likely go defensive line here. However, I wouldn't be mad at a Kelvin Banks pick here. This is a guy that was probably one of the greatest offensive linemen in Texas football history at the University of Texas. So, I think when you look at Kelvin Banks, just going down some stats here, he earned a career best 89.8 pass blocking grade from PFF this past season, which ranked 4th among all collegiate offensive tackles. In 538 pass blocking snaps, he allowed just 1 sack and 10 total pressures. That's pretty damn good. And this is a guy, too, that is perfect for the outside zone run scheme. This is a perfect tackle. If Kyle Shanahan could, build his ideal tackle for his team, for this Niners team, it's Kelvin Banks Jr. This is a great fit for the Niners. This is a guy that comes in and is immediately better than Colton McKivitz, would earn the right tackle starting position over Colton McKivitz. The 49ers can finally move on from McKivitz. And then they go into next year, and they have a pretty damn good core of offensive linemen in Dom Pooney, Trent Williams, and Kelvin Banks. Now, obviously, Trent Williams is not a long-term answer for the Niners. Um, but, for the next 2 years or so is, I think, what Trent Williams probably has left in the tank. He could probably play another 3 years, but just knowing Trent Williams, there's already been some conversations and some rumors about him potentially retiring. And in my opinion, I think Trent Williams probably has next year and maybe the year after that before he hangs it up. Next year could be his final year, especially if the Niners can get to the Super Bowl and win it. That would be a good time for Trent Williams to retire in his regard. Now, obviously, for me, I want this guy to keep playing for the next 3 to 4 years, but realistically, that's just not – it's probably not going to happen. So, again, I mean, that's a pretty damn good core. You have the best left tackle in football paired up with right guard Dom Pooney, and then right next to Dom Pooney, you get a guy like Kelvin Banks Jr. I'm intrigued by this pick. As much as I love – the defensive linemen coming out in this draft, this is a very, very deep defensive line class, and the 49ers can get, day one starters in the defensive line in later rounds. And just given how deep this, defensive line class is. So, again, I am more of a fan of taking one of the premier pass rushers at pick 11, but I'm not mad with Kelvin Banks Jr. I am not mad at this pick at all. If they're going to take an offensive lineman here, it's going to be Kelvin Banks Jr. because Will Campbell out of LSU is going to go before them, in my opinion. So, very intriguing article here. Again, this is all coming from Pro Football Focus. It's Dalton Wasserman of Pro Football Focus who identified Kelvin Banks Jr. As a guy that would take the 49ers to the next level. So they need offensive linemen and they need defensive linemen. And if they go with Kelvin Banks Jr. here, I'm as happy as, I'm just as happy as what I would be if they would, take one of the premier defensive linemen in this draft. So Kelvin Banks Jr. too, he's also very versatile. He can play right tackle. He can play left tackle. I'm sure he could probably play guard too. This is a guy that's a very intriguing prospect coming out in the offensive line. He's a top 2-3 offensive lineman in this draft. And again, this is a perfect scheme fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense. So let me know what you guys think of this. Kelvin Banks Jr. to the 49ers at pick 11. I like it. But again, I mean, I'm sure there's some other Niner fans out there that think that we should go in a different direction. We should draft a defensive lineman. Just keep in mind, if they go with Kelvin Banks Jr., don't be pissed off because this is a very deep defensive line class. And if the Niners can just draft well and select the right defensive lineman within this class, they can get they could probably easily get 2 guys on the defensive line in later rounds that can come in and immediately be, day one starters and make an impact. So, I'm intrigued by Kelvin Banks Jr. to the Niners. If they're not going defensive line, this would be my pick. So, as always, go Niners. Again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.